Okay, we win.
Go poppy.
달려.
I go. I follow you with you. okay? Yeah. Well played.
Poppy.
Go flash. Poppy. Well played.
I think I just ult someone. They're all on.
Jumping on Rankton.
Okay, kill Leona and then get the ward.
We are chilling.
Get the ward and back.
We are chilling.
It's fine.
Really nice put there, okay? You are the goat.
Okay, Talia is up with flash, okay? And
I
all
don't
in
give a
Talia.
We'll one-shot him as he's flying in, bro. I'm FLICKR.
And welcome back to the Marriott Bonvoy post-game check-in for the very first time in the LEC Lyncas. Thank you so much for joining me. Hello. Welcome to the LEC, I guess.
Thank you.
Amazing turnaround after week 1 from going 0-3 to being 2-3 now. What has been the work that you guys have done backstage to get these results this week?
I mean, the first week went kind of rough. I think we did a lot of good things, but we were struggling a lot in mid-game. And I think we had a much better mid-game this week, so that's something what we are working on and that we need to keep working on.
It must not be easy for you, especially playing your first LEC games. Tell me about the experience playing on stage and everything, and also grabbing the first wins this week.
It's been really exciting, actually. It's really fun. I was a bit nervous at the start, especially like the first game, but now I'm really enjoying it and it's really fun.
How much does the rest of the stuff has been helping you? Because I know that you're really close with Mac and Pat especially. I also know that working on your confidence is something that is really important to get the best success out of you. So tell me about the work that has been going backstage to reinforce this confidence that we saw today.
I mean, I've been working a long time with Pat, and he's my individual coach now, so he keeps improving me every day, and it's going well, you know, and I get the confidence from that, so.
When you think of the other junglers you have in the LEC, of course, there's a really high level, I think. What do you want to prove? Where do you want to stand out? What kind of player do you want to be?
I never really thought how to stand out, but I would say that I'm a pretty versatile player. I mean, it's been really fun to play against like the highest level junglers, and I'm especially hyped to play against Razork actually. So, I mean, I lost against him, but hopefully I can bounce back.
Yeah, I mean, that's how you learn, of course. And right before the interview, we heard the mic checks. Of course, Carzzy being really loud and vocal, as always. How are you finding your marks within the team? Because I feel like you're with a lot of vocal teammates, but what is your part in that?
I mean, mainly I help a lot in the early game, because that's usually the jungler job. And me and Hilly try to work together a lot in the mid game. So it's something that we are working together, but we have a lot of voices in the team, and people always give their inputs, and we look into that, and I think we're working really well right now.
All right, are they being nice to you?
Sorry?
Are they being nice to you?
Yeah, no one is mean so far.
No worries? Okay, fantastic, nice to hear. Lyncas, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Welcome to the LEC. And Sjoks, over to you with Hylissang at the desk.
Thank you, and maybe I just ask Hilly immediately the same thing, but from the other side, how has it been playing with Lyncas?
I mean, I think it's pretty fun to play with Lyncas. I think he's a very vocal guy and has very strong opinions, so we have to like, we need a bit more time at the beginning to like really understand how we play with each other, because to play with me it's maybe not so easy, and it takes a bit more time than usual. So I'm really happy that we got a bit of time this week to like focus on like really what our problems were, and I think we're matching very well. I think we're playing on the same page, and we see the game more similar now than last week as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna follow up to that, because obviously the big takeaway from Vitality in week 1 was like, oh, they're really good, and then it falls apart. So you think this is really a lot to do with the way you imprint the game and the way he's getting used to things and in getting to play with you?
There's some mixture of like both things, but I think to be honest, I underperformed week 1 like very hard, and I think I didn't communicate like a lot of things that I knew in the game, so it was not so easy for people to see it how I wanted to play some situations. But we really worked hard on this week on these things, and everyone is putting so much effort like in the game and in practice. So I'm very happy it shows.
Yeah, I think I really see that as well, and at least in terms of what we saw from week 1, because it often felt like one guy just went in and then died alone, and that's not necessarily you every time as well. I think the entire team was really discoordinated. Who is it that really steps up coming into this week too as well? Because it's obviously a team effort. So is there a main voice suddenly that you guys have decided is just going to pull the charge? Or are you all just getting together and finally knowing what each other really wants to do?
I mean, it's not like it's one voice like dictating like everyone what we should do. It's more like if one guy makes a call, everyone is dropping what they're thinking and like looking at the guy that like is making a call. And it's more like a habit. It's not. I think it just comes from like bad habits from like solo queue, and like it's a first week a bit more like we're more stressed and we're playing for first time with like a new player, right? And we're not really sure of the meta, and like some champions don't fit the personality of other players. It's everything combined, but I think I mean, obviously, I think Kazi like played pretty good games, 2 games of Ezreal, and I think it's very easy to play the game when your carry is like kind of like 1v5 every fight in a way. And I think Vito gave him a lot of space with LeBlanc, which is props to him as well. And yeah, I think it's quite easy to play when your carries are playing well.
Yeah, that's a good point. Key player of the game is Carzzy. I think you were saying it beforehand. You're like, it's going to be Carzzy. Even before Ezreal's getting buffed, so that's positive, I guess.
I mean, Carzzy's Ezreal's been always like comfort, and I feel like he's one of the Europeans Ezreal that actually knows how to get the best out of this champion, and when he has to dash forward and like challenge the enemy to use spells on him, and he's very confident on this champ, so it works great for him.
It does. I'm really happy that Vitality has been able to find your stride, because I feel like a lot of people have very high expectations. But now we're going to turn our attention to G2 versus Rogue. Guldborg, there is a silver lining for Rogue, right?
Absolutely. And let me preface this by saying Rogue are obviously not doing very hot right now, and with the individuals that they have on their team, they could be doing better. But the silver lining that you're talking about, Eve, is of course that Rogue in 2024 haven't lost to G2 Esports. 100% win rate. Didn't lose in winter, and they didn't lose in spring. G2, we know it, they were a little bit in a slump. Rogue, they're Rogue, but they can still do it.
Yeah, but for Rogue, it's like, yeah, they haven't lost to them, but then they've only played like those best of ones. It's not like they've played them in a best of 5. Right?
I mean, okay, so they started with their 2-0 for 2024 right now, so that's pretty much a best of 3.
Okay,
if they win today, they've won the best of 5.
The glass is half full. Mine is always half full, especially...
full on copium right now.
Exactly.
So
anyways, Hilly, yeah, if you see anything interesting, let us know.
I think Senna is open, and I think Rogues love Senna.
They're first pick Corki?
Yeah, they will first pick Corki, I think, and then they'll 2-3 like Senna lane out thing.
In that regard, what do you think of the Senna? Because the Senna we've seen in EU has not been very successful at all. Do you think it has something to do with how we play it? Is it stronger in scrims? Like, what's the whole Senna thing right now?
I mean, I think Senna is very strong, but I think it requires completely different playstyle. It requires your basically AD carry to play support, and your support to play a top lane in a way, and it requires a lot of map movements, and I don't think we have studied that too much, maybe, just to know how to play.
Yeah,
it requires a lot of...
That's fair. Oh my. Calm Caitlyn as well. Now this used to be a classic for the guy. We've been seeing Calm default back to a lot of comfort picks. The Ashe was there, and he's been looking solid on that too. Now having a champion like the Caitlyn, where he used to play with... Complin. He used to play that with Lux when Trimby was playing that too. Like, they always had a good 2v2 to make this work. I'm curious to see what Rogue is going to pair that up with Zoelys.
Hey Hilly, do you think that for Rogue to perform, we need to see old school comp again? Is that like the most important thing, or?
Yeah, I think like scaling mid that is self-sufficient, and just to like either top jungle or support jungle top to be like dog champ in a way that just gives space, just give space and let them play. They'll need some AP damage though. I'm not sure if this Maokai is gonna be first strike AP or aftershock.
Yandra's build.
Yeah, we have seen a lot of that lately as well, but I mean, there's still a lot
on the other
of
side though, the Tristiana is true. I mean, it's been really strong, and specifically for Caps.
I mean, we look at MSI, right? When Caps was playing this champion, he was looking unrivaled, solo killing FLICKR and just being the one who takes charge. I mean, he had that one moment where he got caught in the best of 5.
That's fine.
But we don't talk about that because that was literally the only mistake I can recall from that tournament. Outside of that, he was stellar on the pick.
He was perfect.
Now, Lux is being banned out as well, so we were talking about just taking away some of the Lux Caitlyn pairing. And Caitlyn is an interesting AD carry, right? Because while she is building a crit build like most other AD carries, she's not really that reliant on an enchanter. It's more about finding the CC to play around your traps and really play around your headshot passive. So you really want to make sure that they don't have a comfortable 2v2 in that bot lane.
It is kind of annoying, come to think of it, if, you know, the Maokai, together with the zone control of the Caitlyn, with the traps when it comes to objectives, it, you know, if they get the setup, it can work.
For sure, I think Maokai Caitlyn is a good combination, just because somebody has to tank that ult, and then there's a lot of follow-up. I wonder if Mikyx is gonna go on like Lulu Milio type of train right now, or is gonna like pick like, I don't know, Braum or something.
What would you do?
I'll pick top here, something like maybe.
Sante's still open.
I mean, I think they'll need AP damage. Maybe Cannon, I don't know, something Gragas.
Gragas,
Something like more AP damage, and then like you can't pick support, or you just pick Milio.
I'd love to see the cannon.
Yeah, it's
there we
Milio.
go. Yeah.
Yeah, with the bans from Rogue, I think Finn is just going to go straight onto the Cassandra because Renix is out of the place, right? They've banned the TF, they've banned the Camille. It just feels like a straight blind pick, and now you finally have the counter pick for the bot lane as well. It's actually the Gragas to come through. I'm surprised about that as well. So let's see what the bot lane's actually going to be to set up with this Caitlyn, because this has to be the power bot lane. This has to be what you play through when you have the Caitlyn in your early game.
Blitz sounds very good. I don't know if he's going to pick. Yeah,
Woo,
Blitz
let's
is good.
go.
I think Blitz is really good. I think so. About Blitz, he is very good into like range bot laners that are immobile, and he also it's a good pairing with Maokai because it requires them to block the hook, block the Maokai ult, and then you just hook the first guy, and then you get a pick. But let's see. I don't know if what they can last pick. Maybe Ornn can save this draft, but then they're 4 AD.
Yeah, the Gragas pick away is actually also intelligent.
It's really good. It's really good takeaway. I don't know, maybe Cannon, but I don't know if Cannon is going into Gragas. Just another tank, and then you're 4 AD, and Maokai goes. I mean, I'm not sure. Both teams are very AD heavy. Not sure if Gragas can go AP.
I mean, I think that Rogue is actually quite happy with the draft that they found themselves in, right? G2's happy about having caps on the Tristiana, but just holistically looking at that composition from Rogue, it's very clear that you can play through the bot lane, you have a strong Corki in the mid lane, and then you have the front line through your top sides as well, and they all make sense in terms of the CC they applied. You have the engage through the Maokai, but also disengage through the Gragas, so I think Rogue actually has a good composition to play around the space that can be offered through Caitlyn.
You think they have a lot of synergy?
I absolutely do.
And so does G2 have anti-synergy or not? I don't think so.
I think they have good synergy between the champs, but I think it require like Caps to play on the edge a lot, because he has to bait the hooks, he has to like buffer the hooks, and if Yike is not having a really good game, then it will be hard. Actually, they have a Cassandra to block the hook with W, so it's...
And Broken Blade has been playing really well.
Yeah, Broken Blade is a good Cassandra.
He definitely is. But yeah, you're right, and it's going to be a lot of a confidence game as well, which I think makes this, like some other day you might say, yeah, of course G2, but now the question is, will they have the confidence to pull it off the way that they should? We'll see. Rogue, can they keep their record spotless versus G2? Let's find out.
That is an excellent question, Sjoks. Thanks so much to the desk, Sjoks, GB, and Hylissang for breaking that one down. Rogue sounds like favored in the draft overall, certainly comparable front line, but with more magic damage. And that Gragas against an Ashe, if Finn is on point, that's going to be tough to play team fights.
Yeah, I am really curious to see what the builds are going to be from the Rogue top side, because I feel like we saw yesterday from Wunder going into that Roa, then the early Warden's mail. He kind of just became untouchable for a lot of the AD threats that were coming through in the opposite side, so could see a very similar build. And then the question is for the Maokais we've been seeing, not only Andrew's Anguish into tank, or do you just go straight tank here instead? But we're going to be heading ourselves on into the game. So we're going to have to wait to find out exactly what's going to happen.
Time to see as we head into game. Of course, bot lane, naturally just going to be an explosive point on the map. Anyone tanking a hook could be devastating. But as we get into game here, it's important to celebrate a momentous motion in one man's career. Mikyx, 500 games, woo!
Very serious looking Mickey for
on Splice 2016. After their first disastrous split, he came in, managed to make second, lost to G2. Now he's on G2. Funny how things work out, but huge history in the league. And maybe in his 500th game, he'll find a win. But swap over to the maybe not so exciting side of the G2 stories right now. They've gotten their wins, but they have not been convincing.
No. We kind of had a caps at MSI, now we have caps at home.
But we're at home.
Yeah, we're at home. And it hasn't been as clean. But we'll have to see if he has the same performance. Like, his jumps on this Tristiana at MSI were absolutely sick. Like, he looked phenomenal, but I don't see exactly what the plan is going to be. But it does rely a lot on Hansama, you know, getting some of these engages off alongside Yike with that ultimate, trying to see if Caps can then be the main source of damage. And if Broken Blade, who's kind of been the shining light for G2, can continue.
On to Mikyx. Ooh, tilt over Peacemaker going wide, though. Makes that trade much less positive than it should have been. Nice volley on the back end of the fight as Caps continuing to try to get satchel charges, stacks down onto Larssen. Fully stacked, is going to get the pop. But Larssen, not afraid, just continues to trade back. Flash forward, avoiding the Foss Bomb. Caps going all in, level 1. Larssen still with the flash. They've traded even now, but Caps is just taking so many minion autos.
Yeah, and you've got a little bit more with the healing coming through from Larssen there. Popped on both sides. Caps going to hit level 2, so could try and go for the jump. That's why Larssen is playing very far back in the lane after that's hit. But suddenly mid lane becomes the focus point for both junglers, I feel like.
I was just about to talk about how I think it's harder to play Tristiana right now because of how oppressive Corki is in the early game. But hey, if you're willing to all in level 1, doesn't seem too bad quite yet. That said, Larssen gonna pretty comfortably catch this wave. It was just a flash for flash trade, and Caps returning the lane. Always going to be a bit tricky. Does have the luxury of a bit of extra sustain courtesy of the runes, whereas Larssen going to do a bit more damage, get a bit more income. You can see 79 gold lead despite relatively close CS numbers.
Waiting to see how Rogue want to try and play this early game, because it has been kind of the focus point for other people, is how do they interact with each other on the map. And if you can get push on bot side for comp and Zoelys, at least at some stage you can start to roam mid, try and make plays around Caps, but it will be a little bit more difficult. But it definitely feels like that is the way I see Rogue trying to get the ball rolling in the favor, because otherwise I think you just end up in a position where Mikyx and Hansama continue to push down. And even with this bounce back, Yike now covering for them, looks like they want to try and punish Rogue's bot lane.
Hansama walking forward, not afraid to tank the hook because he's got Yike on the way. Power Fist coming through. Aftershock proc comp. Now dashing backwards. Good bit of follow-up damage. The kick coming in. The first blood to G2. Zoelys managed to find the hook on the Yike. Yike getting lower and lower. But the blinking health bar, 26, 27 HP, does manage to walk away.
Just not quite enough there from the Rogue bot lane to finish them off, but nicely done by G2. Zoelys had cleared out a ward, but they knew that there was nothing else placed there, so they just wander on into the bottom side and managed to pick them off.
Overall, nice angle there. Rogue just a little bit overconfident. And that's tough. Now Ashe able to grab the boots too, makes the hook that much less, or more or less reliable. Less reliable, excuse me. Yes. More or less reliable. I'm just a lot of unnecessary
It is reliable
words.
more or less, but I would say it is now less reliable.
Yes, thank you, Rob. Eloquently summarized. And at this point in the game, normally I was going to talk about, you know, hey, if things are going good in the early game, look, you've got Maokai for free vision control, a Blitz who can abuse that free vision control. But when you start to fall behind, it gets a little bit harder, right? Hawkshot from Ashe already going to give so much free information to the side of G2. And Blitzcrank, a champion who can always hit that God hand hook in the right moment in late game, but always much prefers to find those early advantages to really start to take over.
It's just because when you get to that later point, you always run the risk of hooking a Cassante or a Sejuani instead, right? And they are not the target
you throw the hook and
overall.
you're like, please press W, please press W. And then he doesn't, and your Cassante's in your back line, and uh-oh.
Yeah, suddenly you're just delivering Broken Blade into your back line to yoink comp back over the wall you just pulled on front post. I think the threat of that is kind of where more so you're going to be trying to buy space with Rogue.
Yeah. Gets a lot of room to play. With Finn just continuing to trade blows as Markoon quietly clearing up to level 6. There's been a ton of kind of creativity in terms of jungle picks in the first week. I feel like it's calmed down in week 2 comparatively. Yes, there's some Iverns, but a lot more Maokai, Sejuani teams, I think, returning to, you know, some of the things that just work, that are just reliable. And we've seen the Maokai, you know, builds of Warmogs, build of Leandries. You're pretty reliable no matter what you opt to go for here as Caps gets aggressive again. The explosive charges here just doing so much work onto Larssen, stopping Larssen from really just standing toe-to-toe with that Gatling gun to try to balance out the trades. But now Caps is in the middle of the entire team. Does manage to buffer the W, needs to sidestep with the flash. The knockback is good. The hook still gonna hit Rogue, gonna find the kill. G2 now trying to follow up. Stun on the Zoelys is good. Mikyx with the super mega fire kick, but not enough damage. And Rogue gets the pick. G2 Just too late to the play.
Nicely done by Rogue, but this is what we were saying, like getting Zoelys out, working on this mid lane. Had to invest the flash to take caps down, but Mikyx trying to freeze the wave now for his mid laner. Actually going to be able to get it. Nicely done, but still Rogue get an answer back in the mid lane.
Yeah. And good patience coming in, right? Input buffer out from Caps, well timed on the twisted advance. Zoelys makes sure that he walks into melee range, gets the power fist to the guaranteed piece of CC. And then of course Caps still locked up as the rocket grab comes through. Nothing he can do to dodge it. So you're expected to get the kill there. You have so much CC, but that diligence and execution paying off for Rogue. Not in position, however, to contest this Drake though, so still going to cost them a little bit here. And G2 still holding on to a small gold lead despite first blood going over to Larssen.
Yeah, I'm going to keep my eyes on Zoelys' boots just to see if he wants to go for those symbiotic boots. We haven't really seen them thus far, but they are super nice if you do want to try and roam and even cheat a little bit of tempo with the fact you get the enhanced recall permanently when they upgrade. But still, looks like he's just going to make his way up towards Warmogs instead, not having quite the money that he wants to finish off one of those boots.
And I always love it when there's an item in the game that just gives you everything you want in a single item. Right now, it's supports and tanks who just get to build Warmogs and live their best life. For an entire year, it was top laners and core drinker. So here we are. Yike going for the dive on the bottom side. The climb's coming out from Comp, but it does not matter as the kill will be there. But it does matter! Because they totally fumble it. Mikyx dies. Zoelys then hits a hook. And now it's a double kill for Rogue. They delete the carry. That's the good news, but that was not clean.
Not clean from G2, but still kind of worth, because both kills went to Zoelys, so you don't get the wave and you don't get the kills as Comp, so you're still seeing that gold lead extending in the bot side.
Charge again as Caps just continues.
Wait a sec.
Trying to get this done, but Larssen has the bone plating. And, you know, not afraid to just stand still and take the fight. But this, where does this go wrong?
So I think Mikyx ends up tanking up, but he tries to play on the edge. Comp goes deep, but Mikyx just tanks up that one too many tower shots, and then because Hans Sama was underneath the tower, Zoelys gets a nice hook to keep that tower aggro on towards him. So just unfortunate timing for G2 with both Mikyx taking that one too many and Hans Sama just not quite having the damage to finish off Comp before the reset comes through.
Now Zoelys with the Swifties, Markoon level 6, they're ready to just keep pressing on the bottom side here. Hans Sama going to be forced to retreat, Mikyx going to take the long way around. And Dagda, that's the thing about G2 this season, right? Is yes, they're 2-2, they've gotten 2 wins, but the context of those games, you know, there was a time where you didn't need the context. A G2 win was, you knew what you were getting. Now, well, there's a lot of context. One of those wins was incredibly scrappy. You know, yesterday we saw. And the first week win was Broken Blade on Camille, get late enough in the game, eventually win the game. And that's really not the position you want to be again, especially against a team like Rogue, who, you know, by all accounts shouldn't be able to beat G2, but they're the one team that consistently has.
Yeah, and it's kind of been these sloppy mistakes like we saw on that tower dive that have come back to bite them pretty consistently, or, you know, Caps TPing onto his ear to the Baron Pit immediately dying. So there's definitely moments where G2 have been lackluster, but they're going to need to show up here as Zoelys spot on the mid lane with Yike will force Rogue back.
And Larssen really not willing to take too much crap in this matchup. Trying to make the most of the first strike, trying to hold on to that gold lead. Cole for Cole on both sides, clearly scaling. Still the name of the game. Of course, as you get later, Tristiana, easier for her to find those free autos with that additional range. But you know, as we've seen so many games this season already, the Corki burst, always something that has to be reckoned with. As the lane swap's coming out, G2 ready to dive Finn.
And Finn gonna struggle here. Force the flash.
Mega Fire Kick not going to hit. 1, 2, 3, and 4 on the Permafrost. Arrow to follow as well. Can they kill this Gragas? Finn backstep. Yes, he will eventually fall. Knocked down by the FLICKR duo there as Broken Blade locked up for a moment. Not sure if he has the Pathmaker, but he does certainly have the ult, trying to get away from Zoelys, going unstoppable on the hook. Wants to dash out. How much longer on the footwork? Just another second. Broken Blade with another escape. Ulti comes in, but the shield just too much. He's already got the chain vest. Clean movement coming in from Broken Blade.
And it slows down the push on the top side, so Comp won't be able, will get still some turret plates, but won't quite be as quick as Hans Sama. Rogue, though, kind of realized, look, this bot lane is going disastrously first. We need to rotate Comp around the map. Otherwise, he's just going to fall further and further behind. So this is the call. They don't quite get the kill, but at least they are getting some resources into Comp. It's just been struggling because of it now.
Yeah, and despite a lot of positive moments for Zoelys already, right? 100% kill participation, 2-0-1. Comp just has died so many times in situations where it means losing farm or losing experience. 1,000 gold deficit as Hans Sama's gotten the support of Yike. That trio finding 3 kills on the bottom side of the map means that Hans Sama is very much accelerated. Yes, Zoelys can still fish for these hooks, can still look for these angles, but this is going to be tough for G2, or for Rogue, excuse me, for the next few minutes, while Comp is pretty far behind.
Especially with Kraken's layer now completed for Hansama, and they're trying to look for a Void Grub spawn now in just a couple of seconds. Multiple members of G2 on towards this top side. No TP for either of the top laners, but with Wave pushed in on top, looks like Rogue going to start up, but Comp is resetting, so they may have to back off this fairly quickly.
G2. This is a tough contest because ultimately they need to steal every single grub to make it really feel worthwhile. So instead we're going to have a pretty common situation these days, which is enemy team already has 4, they're just going to leave and we'll take up the consolation prize of 2 grubs.
I don't think Rogue should be sending Comp back topside though. I think at this stage you send him bot to try and play for an early dragon off the pressure, right? Because we're G2 a position. You can even look for a trade on turret plates as he goes there, but I think with sending Comp back up towards his top end now, Hansama and Mikyx should just be able to push on this next wave, get the quicker reset, and then play for drag and the tier 1 on bot side because of all the damage that's already been done to us.
Nice possible bomb counter from Larssen. Super Mega Fire Kick, or Ultra Mega Fire Kick, but now a good hook onto Mikyx, caught up under the tower. Yike now trying to follow up, but the flash out from Rogue keeps him safe. G2 tried to punish there, but didn't find too much. But with flashes down, there's just no way that Rogue can stay. Comp still wants to try it, knowing that Markoon is on the way. G2 realized something is amiss. We'll just start backing up. Wave deleted. Rogue holding on for now.
Caps is reset in the mid lane though. Rogue don't want to overextend here because Caps
Zoelys
can TP onto the top side. Good hook. Oh, just short.
But that was a perfect read on exactly where Mikyx was. Just needed 5 more range to make that work as Larssen really starting to win out in the trades here. Wants to walk into tower though just to get the plate. Mites are there too, so won't be able to punish.
So the Dragon up and available. Cap's going to have the... Oh, Finn doesn't quite hit BB, but Cap's going to be able to reset now, come back in with a completed item. A very deep TP from the mid laner G2, but it is going to be the Dragon focus as they start to move back down. Yike no ultimate available, Hansama no ult.
Oh, Caps is about to realize this might not have been in the play. He was... Oh, so the reads from Zoelys are so good. He's just consistently 1 or 2 pixels off.
Gives the control to Caps though. He gets the push in. I still think there is maybe a window where Rogue could contest the Dragon, but looks like they're not interested. Instead, they're just going to try and keep up this play with Comp consistently on this top side. Try and funnel gold into Comp because he is just so far behind on this Caitlyn that he needs every little bit of help he can get.
And when we talk about the itemization changes, reducing what we would have looked at historically as a power drop for Caitlyn, she's still very weak when she falls behind the curve. As the hook onto Caps is going to work, and well, tower shot will not connect. I cannot believe he got out. I thought he was just dead for sure, but the spacing between the tower shots means he'll be just fine. Zoelys there to shadow to make sure. Larssen can recall. As Finn keeps the fight going. Zoelys on the way in. Santa trying to make Mikyx's life hell. Flash away from the hook. Now a TP back in the mid lane. Caps needs to back up. Larssen coming in. Markoon off to the side. Rocket jump up in time for Caps to walk away.
This nets them Rift Herald though. Rogue just keeping that pressure up, so even though it looked like G2 getting the win, Rogue have actually stuck around and pushed them back far enough that they'll be able to get another objective for themselves. So at the moment, at least, Rogue, even though it's a gold lead for G2, are keeping good control on these topside objectives.
That's what matters, especially if you can accelerate the game even further again. Space being created by the Blitzcrank, a big discussion on the desk. We've talked about it in cast as well, but breaking down mid lane tower, a big part of that. And with Herald, it's a much, much easier task. As now they've sent Caps down to the bottom side of the map instead, positioning Hansama in mid lane.
Comp going to continue the threat on this top side. If they move Markoon up here, maybe they could try and get the topside tower off of this next push. You don't have to invest Herald into that. And Finn can do a relatively good job of just clearing out this bottom side push instead. So I think you've got options here, but again, Comp looking for the reset. So Rogue not trying to over push in towards the lane swap scenario that we've kind of seen at the moment. Looks like they might want to just try and match mid, although Comp changes his mind again. It looks like Rogue a bit unsure about how they want to try and approach this.
A bit of hesitance here. Zoelys, I like when he's given a champion that enables him to be proactive. That said, caster curse on demand. Zoelys steps too far forward, not ready for the sheer amount of G2 players hiding in that single brush.
Yeah, now Comp might be in trouble. Mikyx will spot him out, but will also be spotted himself thanks to those saplings. But it just kind of feels like Rogue aren't really putting pressure onto the map where they should be. You can see Finn is pushed in too far, so Zoelys is trying to threaten onto top end, but G2 have already shifted, and it's just that kind of slow pace, the indecision that we're talking about from Rogue, buying time for G2 to get back out onto the map, and now Comp is under threat on this top side.
Could be the 4v4 on the top side of the map. Maybe even 5 is Rogue, send everyone they have, but decide better of it. You can see Finn on the minimap really debating, where does he want to go? Does he want to go bot and cover against Broken Blade? Are they going to make this play on the top side? Hesitating against G2, not where you want to be. G2's gold lead just starts to grow here.
Because that's the thing for G2, it kind of feels like there's, even if there's individual errors, they're still making map plays that are very good for them. It kind of feels like riding a bike, you never really forget it. And for G2, the slips they've had have netted them some issues in this game, but rotating well around the map with Hansama, keeping Caps into good positions, and even Broken Blade just making those shot calls on this bottom half of the map now. You can see they're starting to get these small tower advantages for themselves. We've got a top tower very low, and I think they're going to open with Hansama and Mikyx on the top, and actually Caps going to go up and collect that wave. So they're just in a position where they're going to start collecting these turrets, and Rogue not really responding anywhere on the map when these movements are made.
Yeah, the G2 side laners right now, Caps, Broken Blade, these are situations they're incredibly comfortable playing out. Yes, we've seen Caps get over eager once or twice, get caught out, die where he doesn't need to, but if he's ever left unattended, the Tristiana push is incredibly tough to deal with, and you can see Rogue, their answer is to kind of just get Zoelys to shadow where he can, to hope that they can find these hook plays to really give them an avenue to make, you know, a more aggressive maneuver on the map. But for Zoelys, if he's ever caught out, you can see he's got Bloodsong Mikyx, so he's very, very squishy. All things considered for a Blitzcrank, so still has to give that respect to G2, as you can see their diligence on setting up around mid.
A lot of vision on this top side, which means the Markoon might get caught. No! The ult just going wide from Hansama. That could have been a tree going chopped down very quickly.
There's a lot of Christmas theming here, I just realized. Markoon's got the Christmas skin, Finn's got the Christmas skin. Not everyone got the memo, though. That's what's
Yeah,
that's what we're
like
missing. That's the line that Rogue are missing. The Skinergy not 100%. Caps is just going to continue to get pushed back here. Larssen is still a very big threat, not opting for the lethality crit build thus far. It looks like Trinity Force second. But Rogue, again, they use their pressure. They set up a bit of vision, but they really just can't push the vision line too far forward. They don't have good information, and the looming threat of, you know, Sejuani waiting in the brush backed up by one of these AD carries is just too much to contend with.
And it kind of feels like Zoelys is trying to make plays in this top side consistently, because they can break up in the tower. But you have to do it in the next couple of seconds, because otherwise G2 already setting up for the Dragon in a minute's time. They just want to keep that boat rolling, and Comp being zoned away from the mid turret.
Well, and don't forget, the Rogue have the Herald. They don't really have an avenue of attack. G2 are just walking up and taking mid tower. You're not supposed to let that happen, but Rogue just completely outmaneuvered on the map. Again, G2 only have a 2k gold lead. It's not like Rogue are catastrophically far behind. Hansama is very strong, but he's also very vulnerable. That said, the threat of the Milio cleanse, or not the threat, but the safety of the Milio cleanse, just makes it so hard for Rogue to do anything.
Well, we haven't really seen Markoon try to shadow any of these lanes. He's been farming in his jungle, but every time Rogue have tried to move up, like if Zoelys shifts towards top lane, you kind of need Markoon to answer to cover Comp, but he hasn't really been there, and now with that push in mid, Rogue starting to slip further and further down. And yes, you have the Rift Herald for this Dragon in a couple of seconds, but where's the wave state or the lane state to let you really get advantage of this? TP in mid to try and brute force it now, but Cap's going to be able to match, and we're just going to have all 5 members in the mid lane.
Larssen 2 items. If he gets in range to auto, he's going to hit hard. Herald now summoned. Full 5v5. But G2, really much better tools. That's the Herald. Half a tower, that's really all it is. Rogue grouped up now. Finn stepping off to the side. But they have to keep their eye on that arrow from Hansama. Finn hoping to find that angle. Comp very far forward, but not too scared, knowing that he has the Mikyx from Zoelys. Zoelys backstepping, good vision now coming in from the Scryer's Bloom. Finn in the midst of everything. G2 taking their time. Arrow gonna hit. Broken Blade ready to go forward. Instantly jumping onto the team. The Maokai ult to disengage, but it's too late. Caps now sitting over the wall. All but uncontested is Finn. Now gonna get knocked down. Still a blinking health bar. Flash forward. Bring back to finish the job. Zoelys tries to find the knock-up, and slowly the Sejuani will fall. Comp grabbing one back. Larssen trying to go crazy. Finishes off Hansama, but Caps turns it right back in his favor. Rocket jumping over. Looking to land some damage onto Comp. The traps are there, but they're not trapping anybody. Rogue cleaned up off the rift.
G2 just playing off of so many different angles there, making it impossible for Rogue to fight the front to back that they really wanted. And G2 get a commanding win off the back of that.
G2 playing with a lot more confidence in the fight. And it's a 2-item Tristiana now. Caps, you can talk about little hiccups, but it's still Caps at the end of the day. He's going to play those fights clean. We take a look back here, and you can see the arrow really what starts things.
Yeah, because it ends up onto Zoelys, he's not actually able to keep himself out of harm's way. I think Mikhail's actually going on to Markoon, but I don't watch as we start to come in. The fight that starts to open up over this side and down here means that Comp has to try and back up into behind this line over behind here, but he just can't really do it because the constant threat of BB makes it impossible for him to step up. So he's just in no man's land, not really able to get any of the damage that he wants to off, which means that Caps is able to consistently deal with Rogue as they dive in, having Mikyx to support him, whereas Broken Blade is just trying to play keep away and keep Comp interested as the rest of the fight goes on.
And it just felt so disjointed from Rogue in that fight. Broken Blade ults Finn and everybody turns to protect Finn when the carry line is standing there exposed. They don't opt to dive onto those threats, instead trying to feel for the Gragas, and you know, maybe they have some context in that situation or an angle that they're looking for, but from a distance, it just looks like a little bit of a mess here. For Rogue, they've still got Larssen scaling up. He's now finally going to start building some crit up. But 2.5 items for Ashe, for Tristiana, like ease of execution now heavily favors G2, given that Rogue weren't able to find an early game lead that it really felt like they were set up for.
But this also isn't the same Corki of last split, right? This isn't a Corki that scales incredibly well. He kind of hits his 2 items and then starts to fall off. So Corki kind of hitting his stride now, but doesn't really have the oomph that he needs to carry these fights, especially when Broken Blade already sitting at 2 items. He's just prioritizing the armor because he knows Finn and Markoon really aren't going to be able to take him down in a fight.
Yeah, and again, you look at the tools available to Rogue to set their pace in the game, and it's really just the Blitzcrank hook, maybe a flash twisted advance, you know, body slam flash, and a cask from Finn. There's some good options, but most of what they have is super defensive. Traps, Maokai ultimate, all much better reactively used as Markoon reacting to Yike coming through. Blast Cone goes out, looking to lock Mikyx up off to the side. Broken Blade coming over the wall. Nice time coming in from Yike. Comp with an ulti. Hansama now deleted. A good angle from Rogue as they keep things going. For now, Larssen still standing. Q3 from Broken Blade. Where's it going to go? Mickey getting 1v1 by the tree off to the side, but now Caps has come to the party. Killing spree coming through for him, and he can start to just clean this one up. Finn taking down, another reset on the rocket jump, and all of Rogue scatter. They want nothing to do with this, but Cap wants to keep the train going. He's got a ward in the bush. Taking his time, tick, tick, ticking. Larssen, how's the calculation? Caps' math. That might need a little bit of work, but Larssen happy to have the opportunity to escape.
Gonna have to TP out of that one. G2, they can turn over towards the barn if they want to, especially with Larssen TPing out, and that may just be the call. Broken Blade not just gonna spot the reset coming through from Zoelys as well. And now G2, they win the fight, and they get the objective.
I gotta say, again, small question marks here and there. A messy dive early on, an overstep here or there, but generally G2 playing mid to game, late game out cleanly, outmaneuvering Rogue on the map. Milio Q to disengage. Broken Blade stepping up to stop Markoon from getting in the pit. Still the tree tries to walk forward, but again, the ulti's still available for Caps, and now G2 can set their sights on the fight. All out from Broken Blade. Ready to dash in. Zoelys frontlining. 3 traps in the brush. Broken Blade after expertly sidestepping as Yike now wants to keep going with Finn there to disrupt. Arrow coming in from Hansama. The Ashe uncontested just continues to free hit as much as she wants, but the burst damage from Larssen is big, as it is from Comp. Arrow now coming in, or ulti, excuse me. Ace in the hole. Larssen manages to kill one. Nice sidestep coming from Hansama. The Milio just doing so much work. A cozy campfire for G2 as they set up home in the mid lane.
But it's Rogue that is burning off the back of it as G2 continue to keep the threat. Mikyx is chasing. Look at the shot from downtown, and Mikyx suddenly wants to go home.
The cupcakes. You can't eat those cupcakes. They're not for you, Hansama.
He just wanted some s'mores, man.
He just wanted a treat. He felt like he earned it after that fight. The good news for G2 is, yeah, they're still 7K ahead, but a bit of a mess there at the end.
This is just messy from Rogue, though. Look at where Comp's position. They go for this engage because they see the moment, but not everyone is on the same page. They get the TP from Finn, but Rogue is still trying to play catch-up. So even though this looks like such a good fight, G2 are able to buy enough time, even after Hansama goes down, to let Caps join in. Caps with a great flank, then immediately pops Comp. Larssen's gone for the hills. So Caps is just having a field day now with this tank frontline, being able to continue the threat alongside the Milio. It was unfortunate Hansama ends up going down, but we get to see it in this replay now as they got engaged. They were waiting for Hansama's ultimate that just ticked over off a cooldown, but Hans trying to play as far forward as possible, but that turret doing a lot of work to try and keep G2 at bay. Yike ends up falling. And then we just get to see his Hans Sama steps forward. Just ends up just into the trap. And gets punished for it here. Looking elsewhere, man.
And no matter how much we build up their macro, there's still a lot of content in the micro.
Yeah.
I think it remains safe to say. Comp laughing, happy
Silly
to have
Billy
that one.
syndrome, you know?
Yeah, Silly Billy syndrome. There. He's a Silly Billy. He knows it. But now he's a Silly Billy with Ocean Soul. So G2, again, still favored here.
Yeah, so you can heal up past the damage.
Yeah.
That is,
And I think the thing that's sad for Rogue is it finally felt like we saw that instance of very good reactivity where they punished or attempted to punish in the fight, but then even then they overstep a bit, they give too much away, and it's really only Hans Sama stepping on the trap that even makes that remotely favorable for them, as it does mean a shutdown for Comp, who's now at 2.5 items. Luckily, they've also got some armor coming through on the side of Markoon. It is just crit, so we'll do a lot to mitigate some of that damage. Sadly, I don't know if it's going to be enough. Ocean Soul means that most of your poke effectively meaningless. But there's not a whole lot of poke to speak of. Again, the Corki, really more of an all-in champion these days.
It's the big issue that Rogue are going to face as this game starts to continue on is that you just don't really have Larssen who can compete with Caps in the side lane. So Caps will get the push. Hans has that ultimate, so if Comp ever tries to step up to contest the wave, you can immediately pull the trigger there, especially with Yike in tow. So G2 get wave pushed in, get to keep Rogue in their base, and then trying to contest, you know, Elder Dragon or anything like that that's going to come up becomes very, very difficult. So even if G2 want to try and play this slow for the next few minutes, it's just about keeping Rogue contained and making sure they can close out this game.
I think the other big frustrating thing is Yike is going to get hooked up. Not a whole lot of damage there. Ocean Soul and a red buff means the healing comes through. Markoon ulti off to the side. Broken Blade unstoppable. All of G2 stepping forward, looking to kick this fight off. Broken Blade now knocked back. Healing now coming up for the Cozy Campfire. Yike frontlining. Caps retreating. Permafrost stun on the Finn is there. They're going to slowly burn down the tank, but he manages to back off for now. G2, one cannon minion, all they need to push in and try to break this tower down. Volley and the charge coming in from Caps. They'll open up the base of Rogue. Either side losing a member. Lots of low health bars, but G2 again with the Ocean Soul, the war of attrition. Normally would favor Rogue, but not so clear anymore.
Especially when Rogue can just go back to base, should help them out. So G2 going to step up here once more. The red buff and that Ocean Soul doing work for G2 to get those health bars back up. And lower cooldowns for G2 as well going to help as Rogue try desperately to defend.
Body block from Broken Blade. Q3 not going to hit. Poke from Comp is decent. Unstoppable now to mitigate the hook of Zoelys. This is it's a slow, controlled little battle. Poke back some volleys, some rockets.
And these are all just nice little extras for G2. I don't think they were really expecting to crack the base with that push. They were more like, hey, get the outer turrets down. Let's play for Baron in a minute's time. So we're getting the reset through now. The fact that mid turret goes down just kind of creates another point of pressure that they can look to leverage into rotating over towards the Baron. And Rogue now in just an awful position. You don't really have the items that you want on towards Comp to really be a big threat. Larssen can't get through Broken Blade and Yike as easy as you'd like. And you can see from the damage on your screens just how much Hans Sama and Caps are doing in these games.
Caps just waiting. Just waits for more information again. Hawkshot shows him generally where Rogue are. As soon as Rogue commit anybody to walking into River, to pushing out mid, Caps can just show in bot lane and start forcing that wave.
Also, just to highlight the amount of TP opportunities that someone like BB can have if given the moment to get in behind Rogue as well. So you've got to be very, very careful here as Rogue that you don't overextend, because G2 will happily pull that trigger. We've seen it oh so often with this team.
No. And some uncertainty is where Caps is on the map. If you look on the mini-map, you can see question mark pings on the brush closest to Larssen. G2 fighting for mid priority here. Comp obviously with a decent range advantage, but Broken Blade, you mentioned how both sides are pretty heavily AD. Broken Blade probably the happiest about that. The only champion in the game who's going to be able to turn all those tanky stats into, well, more damage when he does decide to go all out. Broken Blade harassing the slows there. Again, volleys don't do a lot of damage here, so Broken Blade normally would be losing out, but the Ocean Soul really helping mitigate the poke that's coming through from Rogue. Comp has to be careful not to get caught here. 90 caliber net used.
Instead of Caps on this bottom side, Rogue not really able to get a position where they feel comfortable fighting in the 4v5, so Caps going to be matched by Larssen on the bottom side. G2 now shifting over to start up the Baron. Caps should be able to walk up here, but maybe he fancies his time against Larssen.
Rogue, are they confident in the 4v4? Mikyx standing off to the side, trying to be that bouncer. Finn, a body slam, a potential to make a play. Nice hook coming in from Zoelys. Immediate fall. Comp sees one hand delivered. Now on a killing spree, the Caitlyn ready to pop out in this fight. Nobody is moving on to comp, and Markoon just uses the ultimate. Broke a blade, now going to be in trouble. Yike running, Mikyx running, but Caps won his 1v1 in the picture-in-picture, and he's looking to end the game right here. Knock up onto Mikyx. All of Rogue pushing through, trying to finish off Yike. Finn has to be the one to save it. Finn has to be the one to defend the base. Caps happy to just keep pushing. Rogue, do they want to start this objective? It's kind of psycho. Yike is still alive. He's going to start healing up shortly. And Caps just ready to end it. But the wave gone. Finn doing what he can, but another wave on the way. And Caps just wants to delete this Gragas. And again, we talk about those little moments, those little hiccups from Caps, but here he is, happy to just win this game single-handedly. All of G2 determined to just end the backs of G2.
He's just done it.
Not explosive, but it's a win. Or is it? Zoelys on the way, the body slam, the full commitment. They desperately need to kill this. Yordle, but the Yordle's gonna finish the job. It's goofy as hell, but G2 win it.
Look, with this split, that's what you need to expect with G2. It's gonna be a goofy free-for-all to get the finish, but Caps on the Tristiana has the damage he needs to finish that one out.
Look, sometimes they're silly billies, sometimes they're a silly billy club. They're just gonna beat people over the head. Caps, it was a psycho play, but he 1v1s 2 Rogue players back-to-back to make it work, and that's why he's on this poll. Player of the game at LEC on X, Yike, Caps, or Hans Sama. Again, G2 feels like starting to ramp up as we get deeper into the season. One final bow here from the crowd in Berlin. We're going to head to a quick break. When we return, Hall of Legends quiz. Elyoya and Karzi coming in. Let's see what they know.
Oh man, I feel like that was my best intro ever.
Yeah, not bad, hey, not bad. Same. I can go pro. You know it as well. I also know you can dance. You should join me next time. And yes, I feel like you've also deserved a bit of a break. You've earned it.
Thanks.
Even the biggest champ needs a break.
Good job.
Hey, thank you.
Red Bull gives you wings.